Do you know what's scary? Some people will spend their entire life working and still die broke. Not because they are lazy, not because they are unlucky, but because of 3 habits they don't even realize are destroying their future. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen carefully, because what I'm about to share is not theory. It's reality. Think about this. Every day, millions of people wake up early, fight through traffic, work hard all day, come home tired, collapse on the bed, and repeat the same routine the next morning. Years go by like this. Yet, when you look at their bank account, when you ask them about savings, when you ask them about investments, the answer is almost always the same. Nothing. They worked, but they stayed poor. And the question is why? Let me tell you a story. A man once told me, if only I had more money, my life would change. But the truth is, even if you gave him more, he would lose it. You know why? Because poor habits will always defeat good luck. That's why lottery winners go broke. That's why people who inherit money end up with nothing. Money without new habits is like water in your hand. It slips away. The first habit that keeps people poor forever is survival spending. Have you noticed how people think? They say, I'll just get through this month. Salary comes and before the weekend's gone. Rent, food bills, a few small luxuries, maybe a dinner outside, maybe a new phone they don't really need, and back to zero. Month after month, year after year, and then they say, I don't have the chance to grow. But the truth is, they are not planting anything. They are eating the seed. I know this because I lived it. There was a time I stood habit wanting, living with excuses outside offices, desperate for a job, rejected again and again. When I finally got work, I thought my life would change. But every time I made a little more, I spent a little more. I wasn't building. I wasn't growing. I was running on a treadmill faster and faster, but still in the same place. Maybe you feel the same way right now. Let me paint you a picture. 2 young men work in the same factory. They earn the same salary. One comes home tired, watches TV, scrolls on his phone, spends money on small pleasures. The other comes home tired as well, but he spends 1 hour learning a new skill. He reads books. He saves instead of buying new clothes every month. 10 years later, the first man is still in the same factory. The second man owns his own company. What's the difference? Not luck, not family, not intelligence, just habits. Here's the painful truth. Poor people stay poor because survival thinking never allows growth, when all you think about is how do I make it through today? You never ask how do I build for tomorrow? And the world rewards those who build, not those who survive. Look at J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. She was broke, raising a child alone, living on welfare. 12 publishers rejected her. She had every excuse to quit. She could have said, I'm poor, I have no chance. But instead of eating her seed, she planted it. She kept writing, and that seed became books, then movies, then an empire. She turned words into billions. That is not luck. That is a habit of growth. But here's the dangerous mindset most people carry. I don't have enough, so let me spend what I have to feel good right now. They buy things that look rich instead of investing in what makes them rich. They eat the seed, never planting it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you eat the seed, you will always stay hungry. If you plant the seed, water it, wait and protect it. One day, you will sit under the shade of the tree. Let me give you another story. Oprah Winfrey, she was born into poverty, abused as a child, working in a grocery store at 14. By every measure, she should have stayed poor forever. But she didn't. She didn't waste her life complaining or spending to escape the pain. She invested in her voice. She invested in her ability to connect. She turned her pain into power. Today, she is not only wealthy, but one of the most influential women in the world. Not because of money at the start, but because of habits. And this is what I want you to remember. Poor people do not stay poor because they don't work hard. Some of the hardest working people in the world are broke. They stay poor because all their energy goes into surviving today instead of building tomorrow. Poverty is not only in the wallet. Poverty is in the mind. Change the mind and you change the wallet. Change the habits and you change the future. So I ask you right now, are you surviving or are you growing? Are you chasing comfort or are you building skills? Do you spend to look rich or do you invest to become rich? Because the truth is money follows habits. And until your habits change, your future cannot. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you the second habit that silently keeps people poor forever. It is the habit of falling into traps. Money traps. These are not accidents. They are designed. They are in the ads you see, the sales in your malls, the apps on your phone. And if you don't recognize them, you will spend your entire life working hard, habit, tools and fear of taking risks and still end up with nothing. Think carefully. The moment most people get extra money, what do? Do they invest it? Do they save it? No, they buy something new. A phone, a car, a bigger TV, new clothes, a fancy dinner. They call it reward. But what they don't realize is this. Poor people want to look rich while rich people want to stay rich. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought decades ago. Meanwhile, a man earning $500 a month will happily take a loan to buy a $100,000 phone. That is the consumer trap. I once knew a man who worked very hard. The day he got a raise, instead of investing in himself or his family's future, he went to the bank, took a loan and bought a new car. He drove it proudly and people admired him. But every month, half his salary went to pay the bank. That car didn't make him free. It made him a prisoner. That car didn't make him rich. It made the bank rich. And this is what happens when you confuse looking rich with being rich. Another trap is fear. Poor people are afraid to take risks. They say, I don't want to start a business. It's too risky. I don't want to invest. I might lose money. And so they put their savings in an account that gives 2% interest while inflation eats 10%. They think they are saving, but in reality, their money is shrinking. What they don't realize is this. Doing nothing is the biggest risk of all. When Jeff Bezos left his stable Wall Street job to start Amazon in a garage, people laughed. They called him crazy. They said he was throwing away his future. But he understood something most poor people never do. The biggest risk is not failing. The biggest risk is never trying. Today, Amazon is everywhere. And Bezos became one of the richest men in the world. But if he had played safe, he would have stayed comfortable, not wealthy. The third trap is procrastination. Poor people say, one day I will save, one day I will invest, one day I will start a business. But one day never comes. Time slips away and they don't even notice. Albert Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. The earlier you start, the more it grows. But if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you lose the only thing you can never get back: time. I made this mistake too. In my younger years, I wasted time waiting for the right chance. I told myself, when I have more money, I will invest. When I have more time, I will learn. That perfect moment never came. The truth is, you don't wait for the perfect time. You start where you are with what you have and you grow from there. And let me tell you about one more trap. Environment. The people you surround yourself with will decide your future. If your 5 closest friends only gossip, complain and waste time, guess what? You will gossip, complain and waste time too. But if your 5 closest friends discuss ideas, investments, growth and opportunities, you will rise with them. Show me your friends and I will show you your future. I once saw a group of young men. Some of them spent every night drinking, partying, wasting time. The others spent their nights building small businesses, learning skills, teaching each other. 10 years later, the first group is still in the same place. The second group is running companies. The environment shaped them. The environment pushed them. And this is why, if you want to change your life, you must first change your circle. Ladies and gentlemen, these traps, consumerism, fear, procrastination, and environment, are silent thieves. They don't steal your money all at once. They steal your future slowly, while you think you are just living life. And unless you recognize and break free from these traps, money will always control you, instead of you controlling money. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now take you to the third habit. And this one is perhaps the most dangerous of all. It is the habit of blaming. Poor people always find someone else to blame for their situation. They blame the government. They blame their boss. They blame the economy. They blame their family. but they never look in the mirror. Do you know what I've noticed? Whenever life is hard, the easiest thing to do is to habit 3C. Wasting time and no discipline. Point a finger. If only my boss paid me more, I would be rich. If only the government gave me support, I would succeed. If only my parents were wealthier, I would have a better start. This way of thinking may give you comfort, but it will never give you progress. Because the moment you blame, you give away your power. I once met a young man who told me, I can't succeed because my father didn't leave me any money. I told him, that's why you have to succeed, so that your children never say the same about you. Every generation has two choices: to pass down excuses or to pass down opportunities. Poor people pass down excuses. Rich people pass down opportunities. Another side of blaming is complaining. Poor people complain all the time. They complain about their job, but they never learn a new skill. They complain about their pay, but they never try a side hustle. They complain about the government, but they never even try to improve themselves. Complaining is addictive. It makes you feel like you are doing something, but in reality you are doing nothing. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone complain their way into success? Never. The more time you spend complaining, the less time you have for action. Action creates results. Complaining creates nothing. Let me tell you a story. There were two shopkeepers. Both had the same problem. Their street had very little traffic. One of them complained every day. The government doesn't care. The city doesn't support us. Customers never come. He sat in his shop waiting for change. The other one said, if people don't come to me, I will go to them. He started delivering goods to nearby homes. He told his friends, if you buy from me, I will bring it to your door. Slowly, people began to trust him. His business grew. The first shopkeeper is still there sitting, waiting, complaining. The second shopkeeper is now the owner of a supermarket. Same street, same problem, different mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, the habit of blaming and complaining is like putting chains on your own legs. You think the world tied you down, but in truth, you tied yourself. And as long as you live with excuses, you will never break free. Let me tell you something powerful. Your future is not decided by the government or your boss or your parents. It is decided by the choices you make today. When you blame, you delay. When you take responsibility, you take control. And the day you stop saying, it's not my fault, and start saying, it's my responsibility, that is the day you begin the journey to wealth, freedom, and success. Ladies and gentlemen, let me end with something you must never forget. Poverty is not only about money. It is a mindset. You can give two people the same amount of money, the same opportunities, even the same education, and still one will rise and one will fall. Why? Because one changes his habits and the other keeps repeating them. The truth is, nobody is born poor forever. You may be born with nothing, but if you die with nothing, it is because you chose the wrong habits. I know that sounds harsh, but reality is harsh. Life does not reward excuses. Life rewards discipline, courage, and action. So let me ask you, how long will you wait? How long will you keep blaming, keep spending, keep procrastinating? How many years will you lose before you realize time is slipping away? 10 years from now, you will regret two things: the chances you didn't take and the habits you didn't change. I once heard a wise man say, chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. When you are young, wasting 1 hour seems like nothing. Spending a little more than you earn seems normal. Complaining feels harmless. But year after year, these small habits pile up until one day you wake up at 40, 50, 60, and you realize it's too late. But here's the good news. Final thoughts build habits that lead to success today. Right now, you have a choice. You can break the chain. You can stop following the crowd. You can decide, I will not live poor forever. Poverty is not your destiny. It is a temporary situation if you choose to fight it. Think about this. Every rich man you admire today was once unknown, struggling, doubted. Every success story you hear started with a decision. The decision to change habits. So if they could do it, why not you? Ladies and gentlemen, you must remember, success is not built in one day, but it is built daily. Your habits are your future. Change your habits and you will change your life. Stay trapped in them and no amount of luck or hard work will save you. So the question I leave you with is this: which habits will you take with you tomorrow? The habits that keep you poor forever, or the habits that make you free? The answer, my friends, is in your hands. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends. All for you watched